So today I'll be explaining exactly what's going on in this video. You may notice that I don't even start out in Tick Tock Clock. That's because we first need to use another course to set the HOLP. So what exactly is the HOLP? HOLP stands for the held object's last position, and it's just a point in 3D space that the game keeps track of. The HOLP starts out at the origin, and then, whenever Mario's holding an object, the HOLP updates to where Mario's holding it. Once Mario releases the object, the HOLP will just stay at the last position Mario held the object at. Note that the HOLP will stay in that position even if you switch courses, or change save files. Now, the HOLP is important because that's where objects appear once Mario releases them. The objects don't just appear in front of Mario, they appear at the HOLP, which is usually in front of Mario. I say usually because there are some glitches that allow you to release an object at the HOLP without having it update to in front of Mario. An example is the hat in hand glitch. When this is done, the HOLP doesn't update, so any object you release will appear wherever you left the HOLP last, which can be at a remote location. So, going back to the game, I used the crazy box in Tall Mountain to set the HOLP to a precise location that I had previously figured out. I could have used any number of courses to set the HOLP here, but Tall Mountain had a pretty fast way to do it, so I settled on that. Now, that's all done before I even enter Tick Tock Clock, because now I get to start with a very customized HOLP placement. The reason I need it like that is because next I do a glitch called Instant Release. To do this, I dive into a grabbable object and a wall at the same time, and in this case I do it on a bob-omb. By diving into the bob-omb, I pick it up, and by diving into the wall, I drop the bob-omb. Since both of these actions happen on the same frame, I end up releasing the bob-omb before the HOLP updates, and so the bob-omb ends up being released where we left the HOLP last. To give you some perspective, here's a map of Tall Mountain, and here's where we place the HOLP. In Tick Tock Clock's coordinate system, the HOLP is way out of bounds, and that's where the bob-omb ends up, at the HOLP laterally, but at Mario's current height. Now, the thing about bob-ombs is that they have an activation radius of 4,000 units. If Mario is outside of that, the bob-omb deactivates, it disappears and doesn't move at all, and so that's what ends up happening here. Now, my HOLP placement was very precise, because it's far enough away to allow Mario to climb Tick Tock Clock without activating the bob-omb, but close enough that Mario can activate the bob-omb from a higher level, where the activation circle is smaller because a sphere's cross-section gets smaller as you move away from its equator. Anyway, you might be wondering what good it is to reactivate a bob-omb who's way out of reach. But here's the thing. The game has a fail-safe mechanism so that if you release an object out of bounds, the object snaps to Mario's position. So as soon as we reactivate the bob-omb, it'll snap directly to Mario. Pretty nifty, huh? So once that's done, we just climb up the clock and be careful to avoid the bob-omb's activation radius. Now, because the clock parts are frozen, we do need to press A to get past some of the obstacles, but in the end, we'll actually save A presses. And now here comes the final trick. Everything we've done so far has been building up to this final glitch, and this is the major breakthrough. This is what we call a Pedro spot, and it's pretty powerful. You see, once upon a time, a guy named Pedro showed the ABC crew a magical spot in Cool Mountain, where Mario seemed to get stuck. A spot from which Mario could both jump and ground pound, which begged the question, was Mario on the ground or in the air? But a Pedro spot's most useful property is that it allows Mario to gain quite a bit of speed before he breaks out of it. So, how does it work? Well, a Pedro spot has two main requirements, a floor and a ceiling, and they need to be pretty close together. You see, the game doesn't let Mario get too close to the area right below a ceiling, because it doesn't think he fits. However, in Tick Tock Clock, we can get around this by using a bob-omb, because although Mario can't voluntarily move that close to a ceiling, he can be pushed there by something else, so we use the bob-omb to move Mario into the Pedro spot. So at this point, Mario's in the air and falling towards a part of the floor that's under the ceiling. So as it always does, the game calculates Mario's intended next position based on his current position and his speed. Then, the game checks how walls, floors, and ceilings would affect this position, in that order. There's no walls here, there is a floor, which moves the intended position upwards on the floor level, and then there's the ceiling, and since the intended position is too close to the ceiling, the game chooses not to move Mario there. So to recap, Mario gets a new vertical position that's exactly equal to his current one because the floor moves him up, and Mario moves nowhere laterally because the ceiling prevents it. So the net effect after one frame is that Mario keeps the exact same position but carries out one frame of airtime. And since Mario's forward speed in the air is unbounded, Mario's horizontal speed will increase every frame. That is, until he's moving so fast that his intended position is past the ceiling and he breaks free. So that's exactly what we do here. Note that we needed the clock parts to be frozen so that the edges of the floor and ceiling weren't constantly changing. Once we have enough speed, we can do a double jump straight to the top of the clock, since the height of a double jump is proportional to Mario's speed. Unfortunately, our angle doesn't let us get onto the Thwomp, so we do need one more jump to reach the star. And there you have it, Stomp on the Thwomp done in 6 A presses, fully explained for your viewing pleasure. Thanks for watching.